Hey guys, how you going? Ken here from the lifestyledesignhq.com, and today I've got the beanie on, I've got the hoodie on, just going for my morning walk, trying to get some vitamin D nice and early. And look, the reason why I'm making this video for you today is to talk to you about stress. Been getting from a lot of my clients these days that they're kind of highly strung, highly stressed over the things that they mostly can't control. But please know that there's also a lot of things in your life that you can control. And how cortisol works is that when we perceive our situation to be stressful, right, it kicks up our sympathetic system. What that does is your brain, your hypothalamus, releases a hormone called cortisol, and that cortisol is anti-inflammatory, but it also tells your body that you are under a situation where you have to fight or flight, and that means that you release sugar. Sugar is released into the blood to help give you energy, and the blood moves away from your digestive system because your body signals that it is not that the digestion is not really important at the time, but what is important is for you to get the energy into your limbs so that you can move faster away from your incoming prey, and then you need to fight or flight. And that's why the blood then goes to your limbs and not in your middle core. Okay, so that's on a physiological level. That's what happens. Now, on a personal level, what we feel can be a lot different. Now, it's important to note that there's two types of stresses. There's eustress or EU stress, which is a good stress. It's positive stress. We actually need that kind of stress to wake up in the morning and to basically function sometimes in training and exercise, right? But there's also bad stress called distress. Now, distress is the bad kind of stress. And I'm going to talk to you about a few methods in how we can distress. So the first one is, how do we cope with it? Cope with our perception of the stress. And really we can deal with it actively or passively, right? And actively is really taking in control of what you're doing, which could be, you don't want to avoid the situation, which is passively. So maybe you're having an argument with a colleague or a workmate or a family member. You want to be in control of the situation, because that will change your perception of the stress. You don't want to leave it and just be like, and sweep it under the rug and for another day and bottle it up inside, because that will cause distress. Okay, so being active and actively coping is another way of saying that we will be planned, we will organize, we will manage the situation better. Okay, and that was my next point, to organize and manage yourself better. And by doing that, what we can do is actually overcome some of the obstacles and the happy accidents or the surprise of the situation. I don't know whether you've ever, you're on the road, you're driving, and someone cuts you off on the freeway, or they're driving slow in front of you, and you get upset and you get stressed. Traffic always causes people stress. And why do you think that is? And the way I think about it is that you didn't plan for that to happen. Someone cuts you off, you didn't plan it, you're in shock, and then how you react is badly, negatively towards the situation by causing yourself stress. If you had said, I'm about to go on the road and someone's going to cut me off, but that's okay, and then it happens, are you going to get stressed? No, because you planned it and organized the situation. Got me? But you guys should be grateful and thankful that you got home safely. See how you can change your perception and ultimately change your stress levels. Cool. So the next one's routine. Okay, getting in the same routine every single day is a good one to limit the amount of stress that you're doing. What I mean by that is, if you're doing the same thing every day, there's not going to be any kind of surprises. You're going to know what meals you're going to do every day. You're going to know what exercise you're going to be doing every day. You're going to know what kind of work you'll be doing every day. If you plan to organise the kids to get picked up or dropped off at a certain time, you're going to know you're not going to have any surprises there. So that's another way where you can cut down and limit your stress environment. Okay. Sorry, I'm changing arms because I don't have a cool selfie stick. I'm actually holding the camera in front of my face. So I'm going through my list right here. The next one is nature, getting out into nature. Okay, as you can see, I'm going for my morning walks, getting some vitamin D. There's a lake behind me, and it is said that humans need to belong in nature. The minute we're in nature, and we're hearing the birds chirp and the green grass and we're smelling the fresh air, it causes eustress, okay, positive stress, and it gets us back into the parasympathetic system. And I don't know whether you've ever heard of what's called the valgus nerve. The valgus nerve is a nerve that links your stomach directly to the brain, and that's why we talk a little bit about how your stomach is your other brain. Okay, and when we use that valgus nerve to breathe deeply through our diaphragm, we actually end up using our parasympathetic system, which limits our cortisol level. You know, so if you're constantly using your chest and neck to breathe, then you're not utilizing that valgus nerve, and you're not using your parasympathetic system, and you're constantly producing cortisol, because that's the energy that's going to keep you throughout the day, because your body's sensing some stress. Now, my next tip is after nature is mindfulness and meditation. There's heaps and heaps of apps out there about mindfulness and meditation. There's also ones for sleeping. It's important to get a good night's sleep, because when we sleep, we actually lower our levels of cortisol until we wake up in the morning, and that should be our highest point of cortisol throughout the day. Okay, so back to mindfulness and meditation. Meditation really helps us both ways, to be more aware of our situation and our thoughts and our actions, and hopefully through that and being more aware, we can identify the exact point in time where we're feeling stress and why we're feeling stress. In regards to breathing, I touched on that valgus nerve before. You know, by using our diaphragm, taking nice slow deep breaths in, holding, and nice slow deep breaths out, we're able to improve our situation. Now guys, it's also important to take note that we can improve our situation. It's just not a question of that we can, when we feel stressed, it's easy, right? We know how to do it. But the more and more you practice how to de-stress, that part of your life gets easier as well. Okay, just know that you have the ability to not just get stress, but also to de-stress. Okay, we all have the ability to do that, and some of us have lost that ability. But through meditation and mindfulness and being more aware of our situation and focusing more on deep breathing and doing things that we love, we're able to get back our ability to cope with stress. Okay, now my next tip is eating foods, because food sometimes can cause stress. When you drink coffees, that puts a caffeine stress on the body and increases your cortisol, not by much, but if you're having 5-10 coffees a day, it can put a big impact on your health. And also in eating inflammatory foods, sugar causes a massive inflammatory spike, okay, because of the insulin. Insulin is very, very inflammatory. Cortisol is inflammatory, okay? So when we eat lots of carbs, that produces an insulin spike to regulate blood sugar levels. And then because the insulin is very inflammatory, we need cortisol as an inflammation to come up as well. So carbs causes an insulin spike because of blood sugar level. Insulin will cause cortisol to regulate the inflammation, and so we're stressed for no reason, only because we're eating carbs, which is probably something that we enjoy because we all eat carbs. But eating stuff like fatty fish, tuna. Turmeric is a very good one for anti-inflammatory properties. You can actually go on the website called Inflammation Factor. So it's www.inflammationfactor.com, and there's a list there of all the inflammatory foods and all the anti-inflammatory foods that they've scaled on a list, okay? And all you have to do is go and out of the top 100 anti-inflammatory foods, see what foods you actually like and enjoy eating, and incorporate a little bit more in your life, and hopefully that'll help you cope with cortisol a little bit better. Okay, now I've got 2 more tips. I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. My second last tip is do things that make you feel good in your life. Stuff like walking your dog, or training, right? Good kinds of training, or being the leader of your household, or just do things that you like. That will help increase testosterone, and testosterone is very, very anti-inflammatory, and it will help with your cortisol levels. Okay, that's my second last tip. And the last tip is really practicing gratefulness. Now, it's something that I've started to incorporate. Practicing gratefulness, not just being aware of what we're grateful, but also being thankful for everything that you have in life, because we are so fortunate in life. That's gonna just give you a different perspective on your stress levels. And there was a recent article that I read, I can't remember the author, but he practiced gratefulness to biblical, this was his words, biblical proportions. So much so that when he got out of the elevator, he was like, oh my God, I can't believe that the elevator didn't snap. And when he looked at his shoes, he was like, I'm so grateful for having shoes. When he looked up at the sky, he was like, I'm so glad there's no bombs over my head, or that I have a blue sky, that I have clean fresh air, that I don't have smog. And I practice that every day in the shower, believe it or not. I say 5 things that I'm grateful for in the morning during my shower. I have toes, 5 fingers, 10 fingers, 10 toes. I have 2 hands. I've got hair on my head every day. That might be a personal thing. And I've got shampoo. And in the afternoon, I'm grateful for hot water. I'm grateful for having a safe and blessed day. I'm grateful for my clients for always pushing and challenging me. I'm grateful to have a job. See, those are 5 things that you can practice at the start of the day and practice at the end of the day as well. So, look guys, I hope you liked my 10 tips today. I'll put this all in a little write-up for you on the email, and hope you like, share, subscribe to this video, and everyone have a nice, non-stressful day. Ciao.